There are two kinds of silence in life. One is peaceful, the kind you get on a slow Sunday morning with a hot mug of coffee and no obligations. The other, it's the kind that punches you right in the gut. The kind you feel when you step outside expecting to see your pride and joy packed out front, and instead you're greeted by a whole lot of nothing. Just empty street where your two custom-built disaster relief vans used to be. That was the kind of silence I got that morning, and let me tell you, it hit like a freight train. I just stood there, coffee going cold in my hand, staring at the space where Florence and Nightingale should have been. And no, those aren't the names of my kids, they read the names of my vans. Fully kitted out, emergency-ready vans. My girls. I didn't misplace them. I didn't forget where I parked. They'd been taken. And the moment that sank in, my pulse dropped about 20 degrees and shot up about 30 beats per minute. Then I saw a soggy little slip of paper slapped onto my front door with the sad excuse of tape that wouldn't hold up in a light breeze. Vulture towing and recovery. Real subtle. Reason for removal. Violation of HOA Directive 11B. No explanation, no warning, just a made-up sounding rule and, right at the bottom, the signature that made my eye twitch: Carol. Of course, it was Carol. Carol, the self-crowned queen of our cul-de-sac. President of the Harmony Creek HOA, and a woman who treated the bylaws like they were sacred scripture. She came at everything with this righteous fury that could only come from someone who had never once in her life been told no. She'd been on my case since the day I moved in. At first, it was small stuff: trash bins, lawn height, my doormat being the wrong tone for my siding. But it escalated. Oh boy, did it escalate. Let me back up a sec. 6 months ago, I moved to Harmony Creek thinking I'd found a peaceful little suburb to call home. Big old trees, good space between houses, just far enough from the city that you could breathe. I work from home doing data stuff, so technically I could live anywhere. But what really mattered to me, what got me going, was my side project. See, I lived through a hurricane a few years back. Watched entire communities get cut off, no clean water, no first aid, no one coming. I couldn't shake that. So, I started building these vans. Not doomsday nonsense, no bunkers, no camouflage paint jobs. Just real, useful stuff. Water filters. Trauma kits. Solar chargers. Florence was the medic. Nightingale was the rescue rig. Fully legal, registered, insured, and yes, parked on a public street well within the 72-hour rule. I even called the city before moving in to make sure I was doing everything by the book. But Kara didn't care about books unless she wrote him. The first day I met her, she marched onto my lawn while I was wrestling a bookshelf through the front door and said, "Page 47, grass height. You're over by a quarter inch. I'll give you a warning since you're new." She handed me a binder that probably weighed 10 pounds and walked off like she'd just dropped a mic. That set the tone. Fast forward a few months, and it was full-on war. She once pointed at a single dandelion on my lawn one. Called it a noxious aesthetic disruption. I named it Bartholomew. He lasted 12 hours before I had to yank him like a war criminal. My neighbor Dave saw the whole thing and just shook his head. She once tried to find me because my basketball hoop cast the wrong kind of shadow, he told me. Yeah. That happened. So now, back to the morning where my vans vanished. I was furious but also crystal clear. This wasn't some misunderstanding. It was a hit job. Kara had finally pulled the trigger on the HOA's petty Cold War. I called the towing company. The lady on the line sounded like she was on her third Xanax and just barely hanging in. She read me the charges: $2,350 for 2 vans, plus storage fees that ticked up by the hour. I asked who authorized it. She said, "Carol." I asked what rule I violated. She read off 11B. I told her that wasn't real. She told me to take it up with my HOA. Then hung up on me. So, I did what any sane, caffeine-fueled suburban warrior would do, march straight to Carol's door. She opened up with that smug little grin like she'd just checkmated a goldfish. "Oh, Leo," she said, mock surprised. "If it's about the vans, yeah, it's about the vans, Carol," I said, trying not to shake. "What rule exactly did I break?" She waved a hand. "It's a community cohesion issue. They are commercial in nature. It's a holistic interpretation." Holistic. Like the bylaws were feng shui. I told her it was illegal. She said it was her duty to protect the aesthetic integrity of Harmony Creek. So, I did the only thing left. I called the cops. Not because I thought they'd cuff her on the spot, but I needed documentation. One officer took notes. The other, he just gave me this look and said, "Welcome to the HOA Bermuda Triangle, son. Logic doesn't live here." But before they left, the older cop leaned in and gave me the best advice I've ever heard: don't fight her in the mud. She lives in the mud. Fight her with bureaucracy, just a bigger one. And that's exactly what I did. I went digging. City codes, HOA rules, municipal parking statutes. Then it hit me: Kara had pulled a permit for our cul-de-sac summer block party a few weeks back. I pulled the permit from the city's website and bingo, it was still active. Which meant Kara was, legally, responsible for all traffic and towing decisions on that street until it expired. And she'd used that authority, meant for public safety, to tow my vans out of spite. I called the Department of Transportation. Told Brenda the situation. Got passed to her supervisor, Miss Rodriguez, who was about as no-nonsense as they come. I laid it all out: dates, rules, photos, audio recordings. She asked for everything. I sent it within minutes. 15 minutes later, a white city truck rolled into the cul-de-sac and parked right in front of Carol's "Do not park here" sign. Miss Rodriguez stepped out in a safety vest, tablet in hand, eyes locked on Carol's house. And just like that, Carol strode out holding her little watering can like she was in a Home Depot ad. I watched from my window as Miss Rodriguez marched up and read her the riot act. "You're the listed permit holder for this active city permit," she said. "You authorized an illegal tow of private property using public authority. Your permit is revoked. You're barred from applying for any future city permits for 5 years. An investigation is underway." Carol's face looked like someone had just cancelled Christmas. And me. I stood at my window, sipping what might have been the best cup of coffee I'd ever had. Vulture Towing called within the hour, practically begging to return my vans, free of charge, gas tank full, full interior detail. They even offered me free towing for life. I told them I'd think about it. Later that week, Kara resigned from the HOA. A meeting was held. Someone tried to nominate me as president. I politely declined and nominated Dave instead. He won by a landslide. His first rule: no more fines for shadows, dandelions, or welcome mats. Now Florence and Nightingale sit proudly in front of my house, like twin battle flags in a war that's finally over. Peaceful silence returned, but this time, the good kind. The kids play basketball in the street again. Carol's house. Yeah, it's up for sale. Funny how that works. So, what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? When does keeping a neighborhood nice cross the line into control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because in this neighborhood, order was restored, but not without a little chaos first.